any type of platform that allows the people to have a voice is something that we definitely honor and we appreciate here at 90.7 KPFK. But obviously, media has been under attack. Newspapers have been under attack. We see so many different elements of our uh, media being controlled by some force or another. And so, what's so interesting is that I didn't realize that this type of media was under attack, but I definitely really appreciate the power of the people. And so, any news outlets, any platform, any type of source of people's voice, we appreciate here at 90.7 KPFK. And so, with that being said, we got news this morning, y'all. And I like to holler at my local news outlets, my local periodicals, my local people to make sure I give them their platform. And one of my favorite places to get my news from these days is the Final Call. So y'all know we love the Final Call. I get mine either at my grocery store with my brother that's selling the groceries. That's selling the newspapers as I'm buying my groceries. He's selling newspapers and bean pies. Or I go over to my local cleaners right here on Florence and Western and I grab me a free copy of the Final Call. But nevertheless, the Final Call not only is a consistent news outlet here in our nation, but they have really made their newspaper extremely easily accessible to our community. So much love to the Final Call. And so we're going to be reading, which is a really cool segue for today as we get into the news. But we're going to be reading from volume 43, number 27. This is the current episode, the current news printing. It's from April 8th. So we know that it is from this week because I'm trying to stay fresh and to the point, y'all. All right. So one of the news pieces that I wanted to bring to your attention was their very first article that they had for this particular news volume. And it reads, Triumphs and Challenges of Black Women Remain Muted in American Society. And before I get, I'm not going to get too ahead of myself, but we're going to be talking about some really cool things today. Some really cool things today at STReeT SANKoFA. And so this is a perfect way to kind of segue because we're going to be talking about Black women today. We're going to be talking about Black women today. So let's just read a little bit of the challenges that are still on the forefront for Black women in American society. The disregard of Black women and girls, it just isn't the outcome of racism or sexism. It's a part of a larger coordinated assault on civil rights and democracy, y'all. We have become the most visible targets of the war on woke that has unleashed a fury of attacks against anti-racism, tweeted legal scholar Kimberly Crenshaw. Kimberly Crenshaw is also the lady who gave us the term intersectionality. That was the second day of her Dream Deferred and African American Policy Forum to shed light on issues impacting Black women. It's the second annual week of the status of Black women from March 25th to the 29th, which just ended, featuring a variety of activities, panels, artistic performances, workshops, and lectures, elevating the stories and perspectives of Black women and girls across the U.S. Professor Crenshaw recently lifted the name of Michelle Cusseau and countless other Black women killed by police. No one was paying attention to their deaths, stated Professor Crenshaw, who's also co-author of the Say Her Name, Black Women's Stories of Police Violence and Public Silence. Michelle was killed in her own home in 2004 when a police detail was dispatched to her house on a mental health call. Professor Crenshaw told an audience at the Philadelphia Free Library in November 2023. Now, Michelle's death came 5 days after Michael Brown Jr., who was killed in Ferguson. Now, Michelle's mother, Fran Garrett, carried a white coffin around downtown Phoenix with a few others shouting, "Justice for Michelle." She decided she was not going to let the world forget or ignore the fact that her daughter, Michelle Cusseau, was senselessly killed by the police. And while Michael Brown's killing justifiably sparked a wave of national protests over lethal police shootings of blacks, the killing of Black women like Michelle had yet to be memorialized in widespread activations and denunciations. And so this is interesting because here we are, and that's from the Final Call. We appreciate them doing the work of making sure that the voices of these Black women are not forgotten and not forgot. And so as we talk today on Street SANKoFA, we're going to be talking about Black women, y'all. We're talking about Black women. And we're talking about Black women as it relates to hip hop culture. And this is a very interesting kind of intersection to talk about. And that's because, as I told you guys, Street SANKoFA, first and foremost, is a place for us to be able to unpack the contradictions of hip hop culture, which is full of it. That's why I love it. It's what makes hip hop great. It's what makes us great. The fact that we are not the same. We are not monolithic as human beings. I look different than the next Black girl that looks just like me with some of the same features, but there's something very unique about me, right? There's something very unique about us all. And so there's something very beautiful in variety. There's nothing wrong with having a lot of bit of things that sometimes are in direct opposition to each other, because that's what humanity is, right? A smorgasbord of variety and diversity. And so, of course, we love to have these types of diverse things within the culture because it makes the culture rich. It makes it diverse. It makes it robust in its narrative of who we are. And as a reflection, a mirrored reflection of who we are as a people. Hip hop is a microcosm of our society. And so, of course, we know that there are so many contradictions within hip hop, and Black women tend to be one of the intersections of those contradictions because, at one hand, hip hop culture can be extremely misogynistic to Black women. And there's no doubt about that. I think we can all agree on that. I think we're all clear about that. But hip hop music can also be very empowering to women. And it could give space for women to have a voice, especially women like myself, who may not have had a voice in any other platform. And so I want to talk about hip hop and Black women this morning. And as we hear on this news article, Black women are still experiencing some crazy things, y'all. There was a line by Bell Hooks, and I believe it was Bell Hooks. Sometimes I get her confused with my other saint female scholar, Audre Lorde. But one of them said, the Black women is the muse of the earth. They're the muse of the earth, that we tend to carry the heaviest of the loads and bear the biggest of the brunts. And some people may agree with that are listening this morning. Some people may not. But one thing's for sure, two things for certain, is that hip hop has had an interesting relationship when it comes to making space for Black women. One of the recent things that are happening in hip hop news is the allegations that have been made towards hip hop artists about their ongoings with women. And many of these allegations assume that there's been abuse, there's been violence, there's been mistreatment, there's been something shady going around with these rappers, these hip hop artists, and women, and men too. The cornerstone of it is power dynamics, gendered power dynamics. And so, y'all, let's get into this first clip, clip number one. I want to introduce you guys, and this is nothing new to many of our listeners that are hip hop heads that follow the hip hop trends. But for those of you who don't, the most recent thing that has happened is that hip hop mogul, hip hop entrepreneur, hip hop pioneer, some would argue, P. Diddy, Sean Puffy Combs, has been in the news lately for some allegations, and not just him, but him and his son, for some mistreatment, some malpractice, some fishiness around abuse of women. And so let's get into this first clip. What's going on with P. Diddy? And we're going to have a conversation today. 818-985-5735. 818-985-5735. Hopefully my Jay Dilla instrumental is playing underneath me out. This is why I like to keep the vibes going, man. So y'all just not hearing my voice, but we got a nice little vibration going. But if you want, join the conversation with me because this is an interesting intersection. Black women and hip hop. And right now, there's a trend. Hip hop artists are becoming penalized and exposed for their misuse, misabuse for their mistreatment of Black women. So let's get into the first allegation, the most recent one from P. Diddy, clip one.
New audio has surfaced as part of a lawsuit that accuses Christian Holmes, Sean Diddy Combs' son, of sexual assault. The music mogul is not accused of sexual assault in the lawsuit, but is included over allegations of liability and aiding and abetting. The lawsuit cites audio from a makeshift recording studio on the yacht where the alleged assault happened. This is the latest in a series of lawsuits filed against the rap mogul and businessman. Both men, father and son, deny the allegations against them. CNN national correspondent Camila Bernal joining me live with details on this. Camila, what more are you learning?
Hey, Fred. So in this audio that CNN has listened to, you can specifically hear the accuser who alleges that she was being forced to take this tequila shot that she believed was laced with drugs. And in the audio, you can hear her asking Christian Combs if she was being drugged. And he answers, "Take the shot." Now, just to put things into perspective, the accuser was a crew member on the yacht. She was a bartender. And she says that shortly after this incident with the shot, she says she was cornered in a room. She says things became aggressive and physical, and then says that Christian Combs forced himself on her, and then says that it wasn't until another employee on the yacht came into this room that the abuse that she is alleging in this 31-page lawsuit stopped. And she says it only stopped because that person came into the room. Now, I want to read part of what the accuser's attorney is saying right now. What he's saying is, defendant Sean Combs turned what was sold as a wholesome family excursion into a hedonistic environment. It resulted in an unexpected increase in workload for her and for her colleagues, as well as unwanted exposure to unlawful drug use, sex work, and general chaos. Now, why are they naming Diddy in all of this? And it is partially because he was leasing that yacht. Now, he is not accused of sexual assault, but he is accused in this lawsuit of liability and aiding and abetting because he was the one renting the yacht. Now, his attorney, or actually the attorney for both men, also speaking out and denying these allegations, saying this: "This complaint is filled with manufactured lies and irrelevant facts. We will be filing a motion to dismiss this outrageous claim." Again, they have continued to say that this is something that they will fight, that they are innocent in all of this. So we'll have to wait and see how this plays out in court, if it gets to court or if it gets settled at some point, which has been the case with a previous lawsuit. But again, we'll have to wait and see what happens as Diddy and his son continue to say they're innocent, and the victims here continue to say that they were sexually assaulted, Fred.
And so while music mogul Combs isn't accused of sexual assault in the lawsuit, he has been accused of a range of sexual misconduct in other separate lawsuits. How might that play into this?
Yeah, as I mentioned, one of the lawsuits was settled, but there are others that are currently pending, right? And so there's a lot of the details that we've learned, and attorneys say that there's audio and video of these alleged crimes, or at least some of the alleged crimes. You're seeing some of those cases there. The one with Cassie was the one that was settled, but there are other ones that we'll still have to wait and see how they play out. And of course, we all saw just last month as Diddy's homes in both Miami and Los Angeles were the target of a federal investigation. And we saw that all play out on video last month. But again, it's important to point out that Diddy continues to say that he is innocent. They said this was a gross overuse of military level force, and they say that he is innocent and will continue to fight to defend his name, Fred.
All right, Camila Bernal, thank you so much.
And that was the clip that we have from a news outlet that reported on what's going on with P. Diddy and his son. This is a thing. They've been accused, and yeah, you let me know if we're having any issues. I'm assuming we're live and well still. Hopefully that Jay Dilla is jamming as an instrumental as we talk. Yeah, no, I love the sound of my voice, but I like having a little music underneath it. Yeah, there we go. So here's the thing. P. Diddy is the latest to be accused of some type of fishy, foul play something with women. And not only P. Diddy, but his son as well. His son is indicated and what is it? Indicted as well, I guess is the word. But his son is also kind of accused of being involved with what are they doing? They're drugging girls and taking advantage of them. But there's a larger conversation here. Why do we keep having these moments? What is this sexist power dynamic that's happening within our culture in general? But specifically, we see it also play out in hip hop. Again, y'all, hip hop is a microcosm of who we are as a people. And I'm not going to blame it on just hip hop because we see that also with these. What's the guy's name? Jeffrey, what is it? Feinstein, Einstein, whatever this guy's name is, right? We see it with all these other folks with the Me Too movement. A lot of folks came out, a lot of women came out and exposed many men in Hollywood. So this is not just a hip hop thing. Let's not do that, right? It's not just a hip hop thing, but it's definitely a thing in our society. It's definitely a thing in our culture. And as we read our news outlet, our news article this moment, this is a thing that is consistently found in American society. This inconsistency of Black women being safe, Black women being protected, women being safe, women being protected, but Black women especially. Black women especially. I want to give a special shout out now to an organization named the Women's Leadership Project. They are an amazing organization, nonprofit. Shouts out to my sister, Jessica Muhammad Afia. And I believe her name is, I don't want to missay her name, so I'm not going to say it wrong. But their founder, my sister on the guitar, who's an amazing woman. I want to say, I know her brother's name is Fanon. Don't want to mispronounce her name. I'm scared to mispronounce it, but I want to say her name is Shahizu. But to the Women's Leadership Project, they're an amazing organization because they've dedicated themselves to the work of restoring, renewing, reinvigorating Black girls and brown girls to making sure that they're safe and they're protected. We went to a fundraiser just this weekend in Leimert Park for the Women's Leadership Project. Because, of course, many nonprofit organizations, many of the things that we do have to have the support of the people. So we were there representing for the Women's Leadership Project, myself, and of course, the tribe over at Los Angeles Trade Tech. Y'all know how we do. What's up, BSU? And we supported the Women's Leadership Project. You know why? Because protecting Black women is important. And it's important for us to align ourselves with organizations that are committed to making sure that Black women are safe. As we acknowledge Black women as the mules of the earth, but the truth of the matter is there's a Ghanaian concept that says that Black women, or the women, let me stop saying Black women, that women are the throne. And that as a king who sits on the throne, it would not be a kingdom if there was no throne in the first place. And so this concept of a complementary energy between masculine and feminine is a real thing in our culture. And it should be a real thing in our traditional culture, but in our westernized version of this society, we do not experience that at all. Black women aren't thrones to be protected. They're doormats to be walked on. And so we got to make a shift. In hip hop, this is one of those moments where I got to hold us accountable, y'all. We have not done a good job at making sure that Black women are safe. And sometimes I think it's our fault of our own, which is ironic. And I hate to say that, but there has to be some agency. Black women, we also have to be mindful of the things that we are projecting that are bringing sometimes the unwarranted attention and the mistreatment towards us. And I'm not saying that Black women can't have a cute outfit on or show a little tummy or even have some sexual audacity. I'm not saying any of that. But what I am saying is we got to all be mindful that it's our responsibility as women to know our power, to know our strength, to know what it is that we working with and not devalue ourselves, right? But then also we have to live in a world where we are respected and appreciated. And so hip hop, Street SANKoFA is a space where we're all right to talk about the contradictions within the culture. And again, you have some spaces within hip hop culture that are can be very empowering to Black women. There exist women like Nicki Minaj within hip hop. She claims to have power over her own body. We have women like Cardi B. We have women that go back as far as Little Kim. I'm claiming my sexuality, my femininity. I'm claiming it. I'm owning it. I'm the one that benefits from this, right? So that exists within the culture. But then there also exists this craziness of hip hop artists taking advantage and abusing women. And I'm not saying that P. Diddy and his son is guilty or not. But what I am saying is that this tends to be a trend of allegations. And P. Diddy is not the only one. So let's get into our second clip. Our second clip is yet from another artist who's been accused of doing some fishy stuff with some women. Let's get into clip 2.
More people come forward saying rapper Clifford T.I. Harris and his wife Tiny sexually assaulted them.
The Daily Beast says the newest set of accusers join others who say the Atlanta-based couple drugged them and then took advantage of them. CBS 46's Brittany Edney live in Atlanta with the very latest. Brittany.
And Rick, we just recently spoke to that attorney's team, specifically getting not only confirmation, but brand new details from attorney Tyrone Blackburn, the man who represents multiple accusers against the hip hop couple. I can tell you that he says 6 more potential victims have come forward. This after Blackburn went public and asked authorities in 2 states to start a criminal investigation into the couple. And here's what we just learned about those individuals. Blackburn's team tells me that out of the 6, 5 are women and there's 1 man, and they all were in states either Georgia, California, or Washington State, happening between dates in 2008 to 2015. So far, though, Blackburn's team says that he has taken on 1 woman as a new client because he says he was able to collaborate her story, bringing the attorney's client total now to 9 women who allege that they were either assaulted by rapper T.I., his wife Tiny, or a member of their inner circle. Also adding that those women claim they were drugged and raped, and incidents that go back as far as 2005, with many taking place here in Metro Atlanta. He also represents another 3 accusers who allege the celebrities made, quote, terroristic threats against them. Now, I did reach out to the attorney for the Harrises who sent us this statement. It is on your screen. You can take a look. It says, quote, the Harrises continue to deny in the strongest possible terms these groundless and unjustified allegations. When Blackburn finally exposes his anonymous accusers to the light of day by revealing their names, we will be in a position to confront their allegations. Hiding their identities makes it impossible for me to do so now. We fully expect, if the claims are thoroughly and fairly investigated, no charges will be brought. Now, we just received that statement from the Harrison's attorney in the past half hour. I can also tell you that T.I. has previously taken to Instagram, of course, saying that it's very hard for him to stay quiet right now, even saying at one point, quote, we have everything that we have done has been with consensual adults. We'll have more coming up on this story at 6 o'clock. For now, reporting live in Atlanta, I'm Brittany Edney, CBS 46 News.
Now.
And that is yet another rapper. Come on, y'all. This is not something that's like new. First off, again, this is a aspect of American society in general. And so hip hop being a microcosm, a small version of what the larger society is doing. Of course, we're going to see this in hip hop because we see this within American society already. Already. And the interesting thing is, when we see this in American society, we see it all over the place. We see it in Hollywood. We see it in various aspects of entertainment. There's so many people that are becoming exposed in this society right now for their misdoings and misgoings and misgivings and misconduct. And so we're not going to just make this a hip hop thing. That's what we're not going to do. But what we will do is hold hip hop accountable, because hip hop artists have found themselves in these positions as well. See, there's one thing that they say, right? If you roll with dogs, you bound to catch fleas. And so whether or not these men and women, because in the T.I. incident, it's T.I. and his wife, Tiny. And so there's a moment where if y'all aren't doing anything in that world or that realm of maybe some freaky sexual play, then these type of allegations wouldn't even come around. So clearly y'all running with dogs, okay? Y'all running with some rock star behavior. And to each his own, to each his own. Do your thing, man. Do your thing. But the point is that once y'all get into these worlds, into these realms, you kind of expose yourselves to anything. And the possibility for abuse is definitely there. It's definitely there. And so what am I saying? Are these people guilty? I don't know. I'm not the judge. I'm not the jury. And I'm certainly no executioner. But I definitely am putting it on the radar that hip hop, I don't think we've done a good job making sure that this space is a space where Black women feel safe and protected, that the people who contribute to this space are equally committed to making sure Black women are safe and protected. It's almost like you would want to know that if I'm dealing with some hip hop folks, I'm good. It's like going to church. You go to church and hey, I'm straight. These people, well, they shouldn't be. But these people don't mean me wrong. They got my back. They love me. They want to see me win. You want to feel a sense of security is the point. And I would love for hip hop. I wish hip hop was one of those spaces. But then again, as we've said, hip hop is a microcosm of society. And so when I think about, well, where are the sincere safe spaces for Black women within society in general? There's a question mark there. A lot of women aren't safe in their homes. A lot of women aren't safe in their jobs. A lot of women aren't safe on the street. So why would I expect, and maybe I'm doing too much, and y'all call me and tell me if I am, 818-985-5735, but I wish that there could be a space for Black women to be safe and sound, a space where we knew that we were protected, a space that we knew was ours. It's like going to your grandmama's house. I'm good at grandmama's house. It's food, it's games, it's backyards, it's hot chocolate and marshmallows and hugs and kisses and cornbread. It's grandmama's house. It's a safe space. I wish that we could have a safe space for Black women. And so y'all, I got some people that are going to be calling in, man, and I hope you can plug them in because we want to see what the people have to say about this. 818-985-5735. 818-985-5735. And shouts out to my Facebook family. Thank y'all so much for tuning in with me this morning. This is 90.7 KPFK. And this is your girl, IFe JIe, aka Dr. J. And I am definitely curious. Come on, y'all. There has to be a moment where we have to hold hip hop accountable. Hip hop ain't a safe space for Black women. And whether these brothers are guilty or not, whether these women are guilty or not, I don't know. But I definitely want to know what you think. Should hip hop be a space for Black women to be safe? And I mean safe to do all the things, right? That means I'm safe to be able to twerk. I'm safe to be able to love and to be able to flirt. And y'all just seen that Freak Nick documentary, Black women want to be able to be just as sexually empowered as the men do, right? I want to be safe to do all of that. And I want to be protected. And I want to make sure that if somebody's disrespecting me, that my brother got my back, right? That if I give you a little twerk action, that you're not going to take it too far, because maybe I don't want to do all of that. Maybe I just want to do a little something, something. And so hip hop, maybe that's a space. Maybe that's not. But let's talk about it. The lines are blowing up. This is 90.7 KPFK. You are tuned in. And let's get Mickey on line one. Mickey, are you there? Welcome to KPFK, 90.7 KPFK. This is STReeT SANKoFA.
Thank you. It's an honor and a privilege to be here.
Wonderful, my brother. What's your thoughts? Talk to me this morning. I know I'm not the only one that thinks that this is the moment where we got to hold hip hop accountable. What's your thoughts on the matter?
Well, I was just having this conversation last night with, I don't know if you're familiar with SANKoFA. You know, we kind of come from this world, so we have a lot to say about it. That's all we've been talking about for the whole week. And I said it's going to get to a point where hip hop is just going to be turned over to Byron Allen, because he seems like the only super rich brother that knows how to act and behave himself. And the subject just the part that you were just talking about as far as safe space, no. The only time I see women safe in hip hop is when they take on a man persona and become one of the gang.
Wow.
Like how Eve was a Rough Rider or something like that.
Yeah.
I can tell you from being at these places and pretty much hosting these places, I go back in this game like 37 years. But I can tell you, the complaints are not exaggerated. It's actually worse than that.
You said it's worse than
my
that.
experience in the life itself, the complaints that you read about, not saying that Diddy is guilty, but I'm saying that the complaints that you read about are pretty dead on, and they actually get worse. I know worse stories.
Wow. Wow. And you know, Mickey, I appreciate you being such a dedicated guy in the streets and the game, man. It's an honor to have you call into the show. Don't think I don't know who you is. So it's much love, man. Much love. And I appreciate the support. You know, I think it's really interesting. Again, this ain't a hip hop thing, right? This is a bigger thing. It's a bigger thing.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And I love that you say that it's actually worse. See,
it is.
The things, it's inconceivable.
They're telling you the things that they feel that your ears can process and handle. Because it's like in my books I write, people think they're so groundbreaking. You know, I was on National Geographic, just like to mention. I hope you're saying this stuff. But no, my book's actually watered down.
Wow.
If I really wrote the truth, nobody would believe it.
And
a lot of times these outrageous stories, they're dead on balls accurate. Because I can tell some right now that you wouldn't believe. You wouldn't believe me.
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe human beings behave this way.
I could only imagine. And I think, you know, to be honest with you, my brother, it's scary, that dark truth of what men and women do behind closed doors when nobody's watching. And to a certain extent, I think the issue is, it's the power dynamic, man. It's the power dynamic. You know, how do we resolve these moments where people use their power to cause harm to someone else? And that could be men and women, because women can use power as well to have some of these men caught up in their feelings and going crazy. And you know what I mean? That woman power is real as well. So this is not just a thing that's specific to just even men, because women can just be just as guilty as well.
I remember somebody telling me, and you gotta understand how long ago this was. I was in high school, and I was a part of, we're all in the same gang project. Oh, I shouldn't be saying that. No. Okay. No names at all. But I can tell you off camera names, but on air, I would never do that. I'm not into the exposing thing. To me, that's just dry position. I mean, one of the things about being in the life is you hold the key to the anonymity is what's the power. People know that they can come around you, say things, do things, literally let their hair and pants down, and you not tell them, because they have to go back to work Monday. They're stockbrokers. They're NFL. They have a life. They just want to take a break. This is Disneyland for them. You work at the park. Like I told somebody, I was Walt Disney.
That's hilarious.
Because I set the rides up for you. And that's the thing that's the big mistake P. Diddy made. If you're going to be the gatekeeper of that type of lifestyle, what we call the shadow world, you cannot participate.
You cannot participate. Rule number one, don't get high
That's rule number one.
on
If
your
you're the
own
gatekeeper, you cannot
supply,
participate. You're
man.
the host.
Yeah, well, thank you for calling in, my brother Mickey. We got a couple callers that are also on the line. I appreciate you. Stay listening, stay supporting, because I appreciate folks like you. It gives me the inspiration to keep on going, my brother. So thank you so much for calling in. Thank you so much for calling in.
Tell them to be careful and always travel with your companion, liaison. You know, the big guy that makes sure that no one touches you where you're not supposed to be touched.
That part.
Years like that. It's
that part.
That
part. We really love it.
Want their own company.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, my brother.
But it might have to be segregated until we hit the air, because they really don't know how to act, and they don't care what level you're on. It could be Diana Ross.
Yeah.
They're gonna touch it. They're gonna be extremely disrespectful.
The whole thing, y'all, is that we got to do better. We got to do better. Let's go ahead and go on to Ross on line 2. Ross from LA. Thank you again, my brother. This is 90.7 KPFK. You are tuned in to STReeT SANKoFA with your girl IFe JIe, aka Dr. J, and we are talking about hip hop and Black women this morning. We got all these allegations going on of these hip hop artists, and this is not just a hip hop thing. This is a bigger thing about Black women and then being safe. And shouts out to the Women's Leadership Project, because we were just raising money for a nonprofit organization that's dedicated to trying to eradicate this type of craziness in our society. Ross on line 2. Are you still there, my brother?
Yes, I am. How are you? This is Ross Key Moscone.
Rasaki, brethren, thank you for calling in. Community Education Network, representing always. What you got to say about the subject, man? Talk to me this morning.
Well, first of all, thanks and praises for you and your great work that you're doing.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you for calling in. Thank you for your support, y'all. It's because of y'all we keep on going.
Let me say a few quick things. First of all, we have to think about, what do we value? What is our value system? Okay, we value things that are basically unhealthy. And speaking of a woman, we all come from women, so that should tell us something.
Yeah, no
Every
doubt.
single person come from a woman. And then you were speaking about diversity. Yes, diversity is a norm. It's a natural phenomenon.
Absolutely.
One thing is like any other thing. So we have to embrace diversity and be able to make adjustments and deal with diversity and use it to our advantage.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I appreciate the sentiment. You know, it's the diversity that makes us awesome. It's definitely the diversity that makes us awesome, you know, and it's something that we need to be able to put on the forefront, y'all, because it's an issue that, you know, I had a brother friend of mine tell me one time, you only have what you can protect. You know, if I have $100 in my pocket, I ain't got that $100 for real if I can't protect it, because somebody can run up on me any minute and bow, pop me in my face, and now I'm out $100. You feel me? You only have what you could protect. And so if we say that we all come from Black women, of course we all do. If we all come from a womb of a womb man, then how are we protecting that? You know what I mean? We don't really have that. That's not something that we could protect, because we don't have the means to make sure that this womb man is safe and sound, you know? And so there's a moment where we're not seeing this as a new thing. This is not a new thing in hip hop. This is not a new thing in society. In fact, there's a guy back in the day in the 90s that was accused of some abuse, and it wasn't an accusation. It ended up being found true that he indeed was someone who was an abuser. And so the last clip that we want to get into, I see that we have some more callers calling in, and I appreciate you guys standing by. Just hold tight for me just 1 second. I want to get another clip in so we can have this conversation in the last 15 minutes together. This is 90.7 KPFK. You are tuned in to STReeT SANKoFA. STReeT SANKoFA is a concept of us being able to look at hip hop culture, look at the past, look at the history, look at the context of it, understand the past of the culture, so that we can be very intentional on how we want to move forward with hip hop. We have celebrated 50 years within hip hop culture. 50 years. 50 years. And now that we have some time underneath our belt, it's essential for us to take a pause for the cause, to look at the culture, to look at what we are doing, and be able to be really intentional on how we want to move forward for the next 50 years. So let's talk about today women in hip hop. Is hip hop a safe space for women? I don't think it is. And I think that we can do better. And right now, we have artists that have been alleged of abusing, have allegations for abusing, sexual abuse, drug abuse, domestic violence, even towards women. And the reality is that so many women are victims that it's an American issue. It's a societal issue. It's a global issue. We see this all over the world, but especially here in the United States, especially in hip hop culture. And so as we have P. Diddy and his son, we have T.I. and his wife having allegations of sexual abuse. There has been some rappers who have been definitely noted as being abusers. And I dare say, and I hate to say, but I have to hold hip hop accountable today, y'all. That one of my beloved hip hop pioneers, especially a West Coast contributor, he's one of those guys, man. He's one of those guys. And we know him. We all love him. We all listen to his music. But he goes by the name of Dr. Dre. And the last clip that I want to play for you is from a woman that he used to be involved with, who's also an artist, a beautiful woman, a powerfully famous and successful woman. Her name is Michelle A. And I don't want us to forget, there was a time, y'all, where this crap was normalized. It was so normalized that we all turned our side eye to it and turned our face away from it when we saw it. And so clip 3 out. Let's get into this last clip before we close out and get into our next callers. This is a clip from Michelle Lane, and she's talking about her experience with the legendary producer, West Coast icon, Dr. Dre.
We went out with Stock and yelling and came in drunk and just took off and sucked me in ass. I honestly couldn't tell you. We couldn't have had an argument or anything because I was just waking up to. I have no idea if that was the first time. I woke up the next morning and I kid you not, didn't have a conversation about it at all. At all. The only thing I did too was he gave me some money to go to the grocery store to buy some sunglasses. That's it.
I came up thinking that's the way it was supposed to be also. I've watched a few of my cousins get a little rough with their women. It was definitely in the family.
I just equated it to, as a child, I watched my uncle beat his wife every other day, and we got back and everything was good. So I just figured, oh, it was normal.
And that was R&B singer, hip hop soulstress, Michelle A. Michelle A was a extremely successful artist in her era, in her time. And I appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for holding me down. You know, you definitely, I couldn't do it without you. Sauce out always to the team, you and Gary. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. But that clip that we just played was from Michelle A, R&B singer, hip hop soulstress, who was in relationship with the legendary producer, the hip hop icon that we all know and love, Dr. Dre. And Dr. Dre was beating her. I mean, he was beating her up, punching her, doing all kind of crazy stuff. And I have to admit, it's a lot of us who've been victims of domestic violence within hip hop. I myself included. And so this has been very normalized, y'all. And we got to do better. And we love Dr. Dre, right? Shoot, I'm not going to front. I got my Beat headphones on right now. And so we don't necessarily want to hold these people accountable because we love what they produce. I love the Chronic 2000. T.I. and Tiny. Yeah, Grand Hustle. Absolutely. P. Diddy. Come on. Who doesn't love these music artists, the music that these artists have produced? In our honesty, some of us are still jamming to R. Kelly despite it all. And I know who you are. I ain't gonna call you out, but you out there. So there is a moment where many of us still support these artists, and for your own reason, no judgment here. But the point is that we have to find a better space for women to feel safe. And I want to challenge hip hop because it doesn't have to be that way within the culture. Hip hop could definitely be the space where Black women feel safe and sound. But unfortunately, like American society in general, hip hop is definitely not one of those spaces. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about what do you think? And I appreciate my guy, Mickey Royal. Mickey Royal came on and said, you know what, y'all? It's actually a lot worse. It's actually a lot worse than what you think. That some of these allegations that are being told and the incidents that are being reported in the news, these are the watered down versions of what's really going on behind these closed doors at these Diddy parties, right? And that's honest. And I appreciate that reality check. And my brother Mickey Royal definitely holds it down. He's an author. He is a legendary person, definitely coming out of the streets of Los Angeles, student of my beloved father, the great Elephant. But it's guys like this that know the game, man, that write about the game, that really kind of hold the game up in a way, because the game got rules to it. And that's the truth. And that's the truth. So let's get into the conversation. 818-985-5735. Again, at 818-985-5735. This is STReeT SANKoFA 90.7 KPFK. And I think, Kwamar, are you still on the line from Palmdale? Are you still there, my brother? Or no, I'm sorry. Let's go to Cecil. Is Cecil from Diamond Bar there, line 3?
Yes. Thank you for your excellent show, sister. I wanted
No doubt. Thanks for calling in.
Topic. Yeah. I wanted to connect it to two factors. One is pornography and one is integrity. So if this is a man's world, then what is the role of men? Are men supposed to have integrity? So you said that there are a lot of contradictions in hip hop and general society, but at the end of the day, with all those contradictions, does the man still have integrity?
Wow.
So if the man has integrity, then one of his roles in society is to create a safe space. That society is a safe space for women and children.
Right.
And so when we don't have a safe space, one of the other factors is pornography and the normalization of that, and then the normalization of that also in strip clubs. And both of these come also from a lot of those women have been abused.
Yeah.
That's the other factor of that girls are much more vulnerable to child abuse than boys.
That's true.
This is a society we live in, like you mentioned, Epstein and exploitation of girls, especially young girls.
Yeah.
But with power also comes a lot of corruption, and the celebrities, as they collect trophies like cars and so on, they collect women or the experiences or the conquest of women.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I appreciate that perspective, my brother. You are spot on this morning. Thank you for calling in. Thank you for giving that piece. And as you're talking, I'm sitting up thinking about the young girls who have been abused, who are in the strip clubs, who are on the streets right here of Los Angeles. Y'all know I'm in LA, right? We're 90.7 KPFK. Right here in the streets of Los Angeles is our hometown, and we are broadcasted all over the state of California. But what's really interesting is that as I listen to my radio station, sometimes driving none to work, I'm driving down Figueroa because I got to get downtown. And as I'm driving down Figueroa, I hit a sweet spot, usually around the 70s and 76, something around there. And I see a lot of young, beautiful girls as sex workers standing on the street. And I can't help but wonder to myself, how did y'all get here? How did y'all get to this moment? where you literally are standing on corners. And a lot of times, to my brother Cecil's point, a lot of times these young women have already been victims of sexual abuse. And so they end up perpetuating the abuse that they've experienced because it becomes the only thing that they know. And then what is the role of men? I love that. If this is a man's world, which I have to be honest with you, this ain't a man's world, y'all. In fact, this is a part of the problem. The earth that we live on is divinely female. Now, some of y'all gonna like that, some of y'all not. But I said it and I'm gonna stand by it. What makes something feminine, I think, is the ability to reproduce, the ability to create. The creative force energy is a divine feminine energy. Now, the creative masculine energy is a different energy. And the divine masculine has its own ashe and its own power. But a part of what makes something feminine and a part of what makes something divinely feminine is its ability to produce, to create in multitude, to provide. Not only do we birth with our wombs, we nurture with our breasts. And so we are providers, we are nurturers, we are givers of life force energy. We are feminine. And so the earth that we live on has those same attributes. And so this earth is a divinely feminine energy. And when we recenter femininity and we protect it, the masculine energy becomes complementary because we need that masculine energy to protect the divine feminine. Again, the Ghanaians believe that the woman is the throne, but the man sits on its seat. And so there is a beautiful synergy when we are together and when we are safe. And when the kingdom is solid, then you are able to build empires and nations. And so that's the truth of the matter, is that when Black women are safe, we are safe as a society. That means that the children are safe. That means our knowledge is safe. Our traditions are safe. Our culture is safe because this is also what comes with women. We are the first teachers of the children. We can't help it. The baby comes directly from our bodies, and we are the first ones to teach that child anything. Now, daddy is definitely there standing by our side, and daddy is definitely there giving that life lesson as well. But we can't take away from the fact that mama is the one. In fact, the whole idea of mother, ma, it divinely is thought of in the etymology world as being associated with truth. That ma and ma'at, for those of us who are scholars, we know that ma'at means truth because you know for sure who your mama is. And your daddy ain't no telling sometimes. But the mother, the truth is always with the women. And so today's episode, STReeT SANKoFA 90.7 KPFK, I appreciate y'all for calling in. We have to be and do a little better when it comes to Black women. We have to be able to create a safe space for Black women to do their thing. And of course, American society in general is not safe for Black women. And so it might be too much to acts of hip hop to be that sounding board, that safe space, that hiding space for Black women. Maybe it's too much because you got people like T.I., you got people like Dr. Dre and P. Diddy still drugging women and, taking names and doing all kind of crazy stuff, right? Maybe it's too much for hip hop. Maybe we would not be able to provide that safe space for Black women. But I challenge you today, STReeT SANKoFA family. I challenge you. I think we could do better. I think we can do better. And so as we close out the episode today, this is 90.7 KPFK. This is your girl, IFe JIe, aka Dr. J. And I am proudly able to be on this station because of listener support from you. And so if you haven't decided already, consider becoming a subscriber and consider becoming a part of this KPFK family. We appreciate you. We love you. Shouts out to Yout for holding me down, my brother. If I had some sample sounds of some cheers and some, yeah, wow, I definitely put that in rotation right this second because I appreciate you, my brother. Thank you for holding it down. Shouts out to Gary Baca. And this has been another episode, y'all. I want to challenge you today. Be good, be cool, be sweet, build community with love and integrity to the Black women that are in your circle. All right, y'all. I'll see you next time. Love you. Bye.
Yo, this is your brother Speech from the crew Arrested Development. You rocking with KPFK 90.7 Los Angeles.
From New York.